Demonstrating Professionalism, 4E, Part 4 of 4. And specifically, we're going to look at how a teacher complies fully with school and district regulations, taking a leadership role with colleagues. And specifically, we're going to talk about cloud computing. Cloud computing is an important topic to understand, so you make sure that you are following your district regulations. So the concept of cloud computing means that you are saving things not directly to a hard drive or the network server, but instead you're saving things to the internet, and that is referred to as the cloud. Things are being saved out in the cloud. And the importance and why this ties directly into this element is because you need to know what you should and shouldn't be putting out in the cloud. But you have to understand what the cloud is before you know where you can save things. Now, this is an example of a spreadsheet that has been saved in the cloud. It has been made on Google Spreadsheets. It has been shared with many different users, hundreds and hundreds of users, and it floats out in the cloud. You don't want the address because it's actually outdated. It was outdated quite quickly as so many new apps came onto the market. But this is floating out in the cloud. This is fine to be out in the cloud. It's apps. We're all sharing, we're all collaborating. But this is not a spreadsheet of all the special ed students at a certain grade level. So you really have to understand so you can comply with your regulations where everything is. Okay, so when you save things, you need to know where you're saving them. In this case, it's on Google Docs. Google Docs would be considered in the cloud. Websites like YouTube would be considered in the cloud. And the reason I put this on here is you have to know what your rules are for your district. Can you show pictures of students? Can you put their pictures with their names? What students in your building cannot be photographed or posted or things like that? This is all the professionalism that ties into this module, that you have to know your regulations. The last thing in the world is we want to endanger any child at any age by putting their picture, something as innocent as the classroom play, and you think, oh, I'll share it with everybody. I'll put it out on YouTube, and you have a student that might be in a protection program or something like that. So we have to make sure that you know your regulations. Some of your school districts block the use of tools like YouTube because of the content filter. And you need to make sure that if it is blocked, that you have explicit permission from your administrator that you can use it. So that's why I definitely put up YouTube. Flickr's another one of those. Let's say you go on this great field trip and you want to post every picture so everyone can see what great fun you had. Great, but again, back to what we're doing today, make sure you know your school district regulations because these pictures are posted on the internet. They might also be on your hard drive, but by selecting to put them up on Flickr, for example, just one of many places, Snapfish, all the other places that you could put them, you just have to make sure that you are following the regulations that are set. Okay, so saving it out onto the internet is another way to say that you're saving it in the cloud. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand the language of that. When you hear the word cloud, that means there's servers all over. You don't know exactly where the servers are, but they're out on the internet and all your information is out on those servers. Most of the servers, secure, great, no problem. But you want to make sure that you, as the professional, knows where it's being stored, as well as part of the module talks about that you're taking a leadership role with your colleagues. A lot of people don't think twice before throwing things out on the cloud, not really thinking that potentially somebody might be able to get into that information. Now, here's Google Docs. This is all in the cloud. The great thing with Google Docs is there's only one copy. Unlike when I send an email attachment, I might have 4 or 5 different copies, and who has the most recent? Nice part with working with Google Docs, you only have one place. But with that said, if the internet goes down, yikes, can't get to your documents. And you also have to make sure that you are protecting those documents. All right, I love this visual, the cloud. And just really the most important thing to know with your data, we've covered this before, you have to make sure that your data lives in at least two different places. Maybe one of those is the cloud, maybe one of those is a hard drive, flash drive, or something like that. A learning management system is also in the cloud, and students can put assignments there. You can respond to students, and learning management systems, awesome, but you need to know what's in the cloud. And I want you to go back to your administrators and make sure that you know what can be posted online and what can't. That's just the key. But a lot of people, the reason I built the modules, a lot of people don't understand when they hit save where things are going. So your learning management system is another example of living in the cloud. Wikis, they live in the cloud. A wiki is a great place that you could collaboratively share information. I use Wiki Spaces, and I love it, and it's free for education. You just make sure you tell them you're educators, and you go ahead and can get your own space. But just know that it is in the cloud. So on a wiki, I wouldn't put student names, I wouldn't put images, maybe like code names. That would be okay. I know a lot of teachers that go ahead and publish to a wiki student work. That's okay. This was interesting. On the Windows side, you can go ahead and use your SkyDrive to go ahead and upload information. This is your cloud for the Windows platform. And great, 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 but just know what's out there. So, for example, at home, you might want to think about not putting your financial information out on the cloud, instead of maybe putting that in a secure hard drive, thumb drive. Remember, at least two different places, but you might want to think twice about putting financial information out there. You also want to make sure that wherever you store any information, your password is not taped to your computer. I can't tell you how many times that happens when I'm doing professional development. All right, Dropbox, another great place, but I strongly suggest that you back up whatever you have in Dropbox also. Dropbox is in the cloud. I call it, affectionately, my flash drive in the cloud. But periodically, I also back it up. I really do try to practice what I preach, and that is to make sure my data lives in at least two different places. And this is another example of the cloud. This might be more of a home situation where you are saving it using your Norton or your McAfee backup. But I mention this again because that backup's out in the cloud, and let's say you forget to renew it. Yikes, where's your data? How's it being encrypted? The encrypted piece is the key. And that's why I like Carbonite for off-site backup, is because of the encryption. It uses the same encryption as banks and I think NASA. And so it encrypts files on the way up and on the way back to you. And so you've got a lot more security built in. I still keep financial information out of the cloud. So when I was looking at this and thinking about how do you comply with your school district regulations, you have to know what you're doing online. And a lot of people, because cloud computing has become so ubiquitous, a lot of people don't know that. And so we need to help everybody understand this. This is for Mac. I believe it's iCloud can only be Mac. And again, you have access to your files on whatever device you're on. That's another great thing with SkyDrive, Dropbox, all of those, that you have access no matter what device you have. So you always have your information with you, which is great. When we're thinking about professionalism, I just want you to make sure that you understand where you're saving things so you are following district regulations. Thanks.